as we speak. The team personnel leaving the grid, so that means we're not far away from the start. Air temperature, as you can see, 31.8 degrees. Track temperature, that during the course of the afternoon has come down considerably. It was up on just over 40. It's now down to 33.5 degrees for these Porsche Carrera Cup drivers to contend with. Looking forward to a phenomenal race in the Porsche Carrera Cup. Two categories, of course. Category A for the pro drivers, B for the non-pro drivers. And there is also a rookie standings as well. These 911 GT3 Cup cars, 450 brake horse, based, of course, on the road legal 911 GT3 sports car. And the top-selling race car in history, the Porsche, as we see. I think that's Akinaka walking away then, one of the team bosses from the Attempto Racing organisation. And there, first of all, we see the grid. René Rast, Norbert Siedler alongside. Then it's Nicky Tim and Sean Edwards. Then Christensen, Jaap van Lagen is P6 on the grid. Klaus Bachler, Kevin Estra, Philippa Eng, and then we see Schmidt and Frommenweiler and Erhardt and Armindo. And Christina Nielsen, lady racer, 14th, P14 on the grid. Herbert Voss, Voss the boss as we call him, is P15. And Sharmak is P16, so the grid's set. And alongside me, delighted to welcome racing driver Sean Hollenby. And Sean, Porsche's, you know, you've only got to look at the car and you know it means racing.
Yeah, a fantastic machine. Porsche do a fantastic job of providing a one-make championship, which really does get the heart rate bumping. And driving one of these fast is a real art. What you have to do is be quick, be competitive and aggressive, but watch out for the front end, because the front radiator on one of these is in quite a place where it's quite easy to put a hole in it, let's put it that way, and it's the end of your race if you do.
Akinaka there we saw from the Hermes Attempto Racing team. He is the team boss. It is race 10 here at the Nürburgring. And interestingly, that whilst the guys are out there racing, once the race is done and dusted in the Porsche hospitality area, they have set up race simulators, which really are very, very good indeed. And some of the drivers taking part in online races with the online community as well. Virtual racing at its very, very best. And Sean, you had a go at that yesterday, and it's not easy, is it?
No, that's right. I think it's actually easier driving the real thing, really, rather than driving the electronic version.
So, confirmation of the starting grid then. Rast is P1, then it's Norbert Siedler. Nicky Tim is P3, then it's Sean Edwards and Michael Christensen, Jaap van Lagen, Klaus Bachler, Kevin Estra, Philip Eng, Clemens Schmidt, Philip Frommenweiler, Ilya Erhardt, Nicholas Armindo, Christina Nielsen, Herbert Voss, Peter Skarmak and Harry Kolen, Thomas Pavoda, Bill Barazetti, Wolf Nathan is P20 with Mark Thomas and Hannes Weimer occupying P21 and 22 for this race around the Nürburgring here.
So 25 minutes round here. Again, this is going to be quite a key corner. And again, Porsches, they don't mind going over the curbs. And I did see when they had qualifying earlier on that they do tend to monster the curbs a little bit here. A lot more than, say, the DTM cars, which don't really like it. So what you're looking at here, again, is much the same as the other tracks. Got to be good on the brakes because there's three big braking points. A Porsche being rear-wheel drive and rear engine is very good on traction. And I think we'll see some good racing here. You know, the circuit, you know, with this sort of car works very well and does lead to good racing.
Well, pleasingly, I was here at the Porsche Carrera Cup Deutschland race here at the Nürburgring 24 hours, where they use the whole of the Nordschleife circuit, and it was absolutely fascinating to watch. Of course, they're on the much smaller circuit now, but we expect the race to be nonetheless scintillating. Norbert Siedler there, the Austrian driver driving for Conrad Motorsport. Franz Conrad running that team. Conrad Motorsport, one of the famed teams in the sport, aren't they?
Yes, that's right. I mean, a big history there. And what's very, very important is to get a good start and get down to that first corner. If you can make a place or two off of the line, that's going to really help your end race position. Sounds fairly obvious, but actually keep out of trouble at that first corner is key. But also, you've got to be quite aggressive as well.
Okay, so the cars at the rear of the grid we can see come past our commentary position right on the start-finish line here in the sunshine at the Nürburgring, and so we will be away and racing in just moments from now. We await the green flag from the marshal at the rear. We get that. The lights will come on. When they go out, we will be away and racing. René Rast it is that's off pole position, and then it's Norbert Siedler, then it's Nicky Tim, then it is Sean Edwards. It's René Rast right at the top of the championship at the moment as the cars get away, and Rast dives straight to the inside there, Sean, to try and protect that position. And a couple taking a look around the outside as one goes round. Sure, that's Norbert Siedler that has gone round there. That an absolute nightmare, and everything you were saying about how you must keep it controlled in that first corner as Siedler goes round. That will be a nightmare start for him.
Yes, definitely. I mean, he left the door open a little bit, couldn't get alongside Rast into the first corner, but left the door open. It just got tagged slightly from behind. I couldn't quite see it from this high angle who it was. Very similar. It's one of those three just going through the shot there, but I'm sure we'll find out in a second. I wouldn't be surprised if that's a drive-through. But again, that would be disaster for Siedler, but great news for Rast, who's actually disappeared. He's probably got about a second's lead already, and we're only halfway around the first lap.
Yes, absolutely remarkable. The fact that played exactly the way for Norbert Siedler, the way you said, you have to try and avoid any incident at that first corner because that can wreck and ruin your race, and indeed that has. Sean Edwards there is seemingly whether there's as we see Edwards go through as they all fight there, Klaus Bachler going in there, all fight through that very, very tight chicane. Whilst all that's going on, René Rast is able just to get away, isn't he? One of the Temto Racing cars there, just off this hairpin that leads up to the start-finish. So here it is. It's Rast from Jaap van Lagen, who made a remarkable start then. Then it's Edwards in third place, Nicky Tim is fourth, and then we see Michael Christensen in fifth place, Philip Enger is sixth, and in seventh place it is Klaus Bachler.
And watching there's Rast going wide on that first lap, pushing quite hard. That shouldn't hurt him at all. He wouldn't have gained too much of an advantage there, if any. And what we're going to see here, I've got a feeling it's Christensen who tags the back here as they come. Oh no, it's not. I think it's Tim. Oh no, it might. No, it's difficult to see from here, to be honest.
Yeah,
I'm pretty sure it was. Yeah, was it Tim? 88. Yes, Tim. It was Tim who tagged the back there. So not a great start for him, to be honest. It would have slowed him up as well. Lost a couple of places as well coming through there.
And the one that was able to take great advantage of that was Jaap van Lagen, I think.
That's probably how he got himself up there. Again, sort of a bit of a flame out coming when that car stalled and they're trying to start it again. But Van Lagen's in a good second place, but this is definitely allowing Rast just to pull ahead, and that's looking good for him in the championship. Further extending his lead if he finishes in this order with Edwards in third. Edwards should be able to get past Van Lagen, but I think that gap's too much to catch up with Rast again. Van Lagen not as aggressive over the curbs there as the other more experienced guys in these cars, and Edwards is looking very strong, and you've got team pushing Edwards as well. Whether he'll keep that position, team, after that first corner contra Tom, I'm not too sure. And again, Rast now has a 3.3 second lead, which is huge after just 2 laps.
Yes, so Jaap van Lagen then under some pressure from Sean Edwards. Sean, of course, a hugely experienced driver, and he is hounding Jaap van Lagen just in front of him. There we see Nicky Tim, who doubtless caused the problem for Norbert Siedler. We await information from race control as to whether any penalty will be dished out for that, as we see the car into the...
That was Thomas in there, car 45, just coming in. Not quite sure why. Obviously got a bit of a problem as he comes through, but we've still got this massive battle for second place. Jaap van Lagen hanging on for dear life here. He wouldn't have thought he'd been up there, having qualified a bit further in the pack, but took advantage of that first corner collision. And if he can keep going here, maybe look after the tyres a little bit after these first couple of laps, there is a chance he could hang on here, but I've got to say the 2 guys behind just look much quicker.
Now Van Lagen is 5th in the points at the moment, so this position would be absolutely supreme for him, wouldn't it? It would really help his points charge, but as you say, the pressure is on him, isn't it? You've got Sean Edwards, then it's Nicky Tim, then Christensen, So yeah, very much the pressure on Jaap van Lagen here to try and hold on to that. Sean Edwards, one of those cool, collected drivers that will await the right opportunity to try and really pounce and have a go. So their confirmation, it's Rast from Van Lagen, Edwards, then it's Nicky Tim, then it's Christensen, Philip Enger, and then Klaus Bachler and Kevin Estra. Then Armindo from Weiler, Erhard Schmidt, Voss, Nielsen, Skarmek, and Thomas Pavoda, with Barazetti, Colin, Weimer, and Seidler right at the back of the pack now.
Seidler just set a very fast race time equal to what Rast was done, which is a bit of a shame for him considering he's right at the back of the field. But what was interesting there, Van Lagen, even though he's probably got overall a slower pace, he's very good on the brakes, which is actually going to give him a little bit of a chance to stay ahead of Edwards than he would have done if if Edwards was all over him.
Okay.
Because at the last chicane, Edwards was all over the curbing before, whereas Van Lagen was very tidy.
So we're watching the battle there for second place. That's currently occupied by this driver, Jaap van Lagen, the Uponor sponsored car. So Rast then with us, on the where are we? Third lap out of 17. Rast has just over a 4-second advantage over the rest of the pack. As through the chicane they come, and big lock up there.
It looks like Kevin Estra there locking up. He'll have to give one of those, if he's gained any place, he'll have to drop him back, and I think that's what he's done there. Just ahead of him. Yeah, that's right, he's got Armindo ahead of him. He has taken a place. So, again, looking at the inside, and there's his lock-up going straight on through. Hasn't gained an advantage, though, so he just comes in behind Armindo. But again, you can see that these Porsches, they don't mind bouncing over those curbs. They don't really seem to lose too much time. And Van Lagen still hanging on to second place in front of Edwards at the moment, but it's not by much. It's just a paint's gap between them. And Edwards will be keen to get ahead just so that he hasn't got team breathing down his neck.
Now this looks like Christina coming in. Nielsen drive-through penalty. Christina Nielsen jumped the start there, so she gets a drive-through penalty. Still no information about Nicky Tim and that turnaround. I would have said
now it's probably going to be let go. I mean, it was a very light touch, I have to say. It wasn't a clout, as it were, but at the end of the day, contact's contact, and I know they're quite keen at Porsche that Porsche racing is a non-contact sport, so they don't really encourage it at all.
No.
So coming down here, Edwards looks close enough here to have a dive up the inside. Whether Van Lagen has to cover the inside, he does, which is going to make him slow coming out of this and give Teamer a chance to run back at Edwards as they come down chicane. Again, Edwards takes a lot of curb as further battles down the field.
Yes, Klaus Bachler there looking very aggressive across those curbs. So Rast it is that leads then by a fair margin, some 5.5 seconds over Jaap van Lagen in second place. Then it's Edwards, then it's Tim Christensen, Enger, then it's Bachler and Kevin Estra, and here's Sean Edwards then, keeping our eyes on Sean Edwards as he lap after lap is, but you have to say, give good credit to Jaap van Lagen, who's driving this very well in second place at the moment.
Yeah, and as the race goes on and the tyres start going off, it actually work in his favour, really, because the outright pace that the guys behind him have got will drop off a little bit. Having said that, he was under pressure a little bit there, ran a little bit wide, but Edwards couldn't take advantage as they come down to the hairpin. So actually, the longer the race goes on, the stronger position Jaap van Lagen's in. But having said that, now Edwards is back up behind him, getting a little lock up further down in the field as they come into the hairpin. And I think Edwards again will be close enough to have a go into the chicane, and Van Lagen will have to defend, which is again back them all back into Nicky Tim, not his dad Kurt. So as they come down to chicane here, again Edwards will be very keen, probably a little bit further back than he'd have liked this time, so that will give Van Lagen a bit of breathing space.
So joining in on that pack now is Christensen, Michael Christensen, the Danish driver. Just on the back of that now, isn't he? Because, as they're all trying to get past Jaap van Lagen, trying to get on terms with Jaap van Lagen, that's just given the opportunity to Christensen just to keep getting just a little bit closer, lap after lap. So there is, this is the battle that's going on as Sean Edwards now takes a look along the outside line. Is he going to go? He is going to go and try. That's a long way round there, isn't it? And Sean has made a mistake, hasn't he?
A little bit. He's allowed Tim just up inside. I think he was going to try go around the outside and hold the inside for this next left, but that didn't quite work out. What it has allowed is Tim to get up alongside him, and that's definitely not what he wants. Tim showed earlier on that he's quite an aggressive racer. As Tim tries to go again, do the same again, go around the outside. This is allowing Van Lagen just to pull away slightly, not by much. He could have taken advantage of that a little bit more, but the more fighting that goes on behind, it allows Van Lagen another lap to stay in that impressive second place.
And now Christensen really is on the back of that pack now, isn't he? As I said, he's been making inroads to them, and now he's there as well. So this is hotting up, this battle. A little bit of sideways there from Van Lagen. Jaap Van Lagen, then the man that's in second place. René Rast leads this race. He's some 6 seconds up the road from this battle that we're watching at the moment. There is our race leader just going through into the chicane now. Here comes our second place driver, Jaap Van Lagen. Then it's Sean Edwards, then it's Nicky Tim, and then it is Christensen. So replay of the start here, Sean.
Yeah, so they all the front runners get a good start. Rast immediately comes across to defend the inside, which is quite right to do. And if you see that Tim's actually quite a long way back from Seidler, but Seidler looks round the outside, leaves the door open, to be fair. You know, really, if you leave the door open, you've got to be aware that somebody's going to fill that gap on the first corner, especially at this first corner, you know, down the inside. Again, you can see that he does leave a huge, great gap for Tim and then comes back across him. So from that angle, it doesn't look quite so bad for Nicky Tim, to be honest, than the overhead view. So you know, I think it's a racing incident, and it's just one of those things. But I'm sure Norbert Seidler doesn't see it quite like that.
No, I'm sure not. I'm sure not. But I think if any penalty was going to be dished out, it would have been done so by now, wouldn't it? So Nicky Tim is able to concentrate on the race he has at the moment to try and get on terms with Sean Edwards, who's in third place, and he too at the moment is trying to get on terms and past Jaap Van Lagen. But I have to say, I've been very, very impressed with the way Jaap Van Lagen is driving in this second place at the moment. Edwards has had just a couple of opportunities to have a look, hasn't he? And he hasn't been able to make it count at all. So Rast it is that's leading as the dust is kicked up there by cars that are going offline. There's our race leader going through. René Rast into the chicane. Here comes Jaap Van Lagen. Sean Edwards, then it's Tim, then it's Christensen, and then Enger and Klaus Bachler. Kevin Estra there.
Yeah, he's looking strong, and I've got to say Van Lagen now has probably done the hard bit of this race to stay ahead, because now the cars are equaling out as the tyres start going off. But having said that, what he needs to do is still have Team pressuring Edwards.
Yes. And moment as we watch Philipp Enger there and Klaus Bachler, that the battle for 6th place, and Klaus Bachler really on the back end of Philipp Enger's car there. Go back to the fight for 2nd, 3rd, 4th and 5th. This is Philipp Enger and Klaus Bachler, and then Kevin Estra, and alongside Kevin Estra there, they're very, very close together.
Yeah, I saw some Enger gesticulating to Bachler then. Whether that was to get past, I'm not too sure, because it wasn't close. He hadn't been. There was no contact there. But and again, this is quite a tight battle. Quite keen to get past Bachler, and I think he will get enough of a tow. As again, we see Van Lagen just enough ahead, just a car's length ahead, which I think is enough to keep him there. And very experienced Van Lagen. He's been racing these sort of cars for quite a while, having also been in WTCC as well. So you know, he does know how to defend the position. And again, looking here as we see, sure who that is, that must be Rast, I would have thought, using quite a bit of curb on the first and second part of that chicane, and again, but using it fairly squarely and gaining a lot of time. You know, he's very quick round here and really knows how to get the best out of the car.
Yeah, René Rast, an incredible driver, big character as well as Tim right on the back of Edwards there through the first turn here at the Nürburgring, and Bachler still battling very, very hard there with Philip Enger as well. That's what we can see right in our screens now. Klaus Bachler, junior driver, being tutored and nurtured by Sascha Maassen. And Philip Enger then, the MRS GT racing driver, being put under some pressure by the young whippersnapper Klaus Bachler behind him.
Yeah, he's backing him back into those two cars behind. And here's Edwards looking not quite a touch there from Tim, but close enough to let him know he's there, I'm sure. But again, Van Lagen just seems to hold that advantage so that he's not under pressure coming into this braking zone. And again, behind them, we've got this other battle here with Enger and Bachler, and then Estra and Armindo as well. So it's all going on for the lower positions here as the Porsches clamber their way over the curbs. Very elegantly, actually, because some cars don't go over curbs very well, but the Porsche seems to quite like it.
And it was interesting when we saw that shot a few moments ago of Rast taking a huge amount of curb, and the front part of that splitter that you mentioned, we saw one of those being carried down the paddock a little bit earlier today, didn't we?
Yeah, I think that's the most popular part number in the Porsche Motorsport truck, those front splitters. I should think they bring probably 100 to every meeting. I should think they go through them over the weekend. So this is this battle for second still raging, and Van Lagen's doing a great job holding it in there. I don't doubt that Edwards could go considerably quicker if he got past, but that's all part of the job, is to get past, as he looks slightly down the inside, holding quite a lot of curb on the inside, but Van Lagen just keeps his cool and manages to keep the drive out of the corner without over-defending. That's what he's not doing, because if he was struggling and driving on his mirrors, he'd be over-defending. I think we've had a bit of a moment there. That gaggle were coming into the first corner. Yes, that's right, that's Bachler who's dropped down, so I think we're about to see a bit of a replay with him having to try to get past Enger, I think. But yes, those two have dropped down, so let's see what happens here. Side by side, Bachler holds on the inside. To be honest with you, Enger tried to stay in there a little bit too long. Once you've got a car halfway up inside you, you've got to give him a bit of room, and he would have been inside for the next corner, so really didn't do either of them much favours there. But it's helped definitely the cars behind, which is Estra and Armindo.
Yes. So what you're saying there, by virtue of the fact that Bachler was more than halfway alongside him, he should have just yielded a little bit, and they'd have both probably, well, they wouldn't have been in the position they're in now.
Well, exactly. Sometimes you've got to pick your battles, haven't you, really? But have we just seen... No, we haven't. Sorry, I thought there we'd seen... I was at Edwards right all over the back of Van Lagen. I thought Edwards had got past there for a second. But Van Lagen's gone very wide out of the hairpin. This is going to be close into this corner, but he has got the inside. Van Lagen needs to keep his cool, hold the inside all the way down to this left-hander, which he has done. A little bit of contact. It may allow Tim to get in. What Van Lagen's got to do here is get ahead here, because the next right-hander could allow Edwards back in, but it doesn't get much closer than that, and Tim's just desperate to get involved in this battle, I think. But Van Lagen did well there, kept his cool, didn't over-defend, made the mistake at the first hairpin in the first place, but didn't try and force Edwards out of it, just held his cool and thought two corners ahead.
Yes, that was great driving, wasn't it, from Van Lagen? He, conceded that he'd made an error there, but he just kept his foot in, didn't he? He was absolutely committed, and still showed enough room for Edwards as well. And that's the difference, I guess, between the Bachler incident that we saw just a moment ago, isn't it?
Yes, that's right. I mean, it shows experience of these two guys rather than sort of fighting. Always look ahead, what's coming up next, and you can, if you can still lose that corner but gain the whole battle. As again, Van Lagen doesn't use much curb coming here. Edwards looks much quicker on the exit there, but never seems to be able to take too much advantage of it, as in the background there's lots of tyre smoke as somebody locks up. But Van Lagen's got quite a few laps to hang on here, and Edwards is looking ever more urgent to get past as the race goes on.
Yes, very much so, and Van Lagen really is having to defend here, and of course whilst all that's going on, Sean Edwards will be equally aware of the fact that Nicky Tim is ready to pounce, isn't he, like a viper if something does go wrong. But at the moment stays the same with Jaap Van Lagen then in second place. Then it's Sean Edwards and Nicky Tim. I noticed just a couple of laps ago Sean Edwards was flashing his headlights at Jaap Van Lagen, which was I don't know, is that done just to unsettle, just to unnerve, or to...
Maybe a little bit. I mean, you know, Van Lagen's starting to back him up a little bit. I've got to say, exiting some of these slower corners, Sean Edwards is much quicker.
Yeah.
But the key corner that Van Lagen is quite quick is not the next one we're coming to here, but the next corner. He seems to be very quick onto the back straight, which doesn't allow Edwards a run into that final chicane. Coming out of here, Van Lagen always has, you know, a length and a half coming out of here, which is perfect. And there's someone who's not worried about that battle for second, which is René Rast, who's probably wondering where everybody's gone as he goes for his Saturday afternoon drive.
Yes.
But this battle for second is raging, and if they go to the close shot here, you'll see that Edwards takes a massive amount of curb. Van Lagen doesn't use any curb at all. I've got to say, whether that he probably gains some mid-corner speed, but doesn't quite gain any exit speed. But again, coming through here, and again, we've had some contact there, and again, that's pretty typical. Looks like we've had it's a rear wheel.
Yeah.
That's come off. He should stop here before he does any more damage, but left rear damage there, so probably coming into that hairpin with a little contact, to which I'm sure we're going to replay of in a second. But here's that battle for second. It's still raging. Van Lagen under a lot of pressure here from Edwards, but he's doing a great job, I've got to say. You know, I don't doubt that he's slower, but he's and so again, launches himself across the curb there, a little bit like how I was doing in that virtual racing game in the Porsche Hospitality yesterday.
So that's Bill Barazetti there involved in that as well as...
it's a battle a bit further.
That's Klaus Bachler, isn't it?
That's right.
Got back into the into the pack, back in 12th place, and interestingly, Norbert Siedler, who of course we saw turned around right at the start of the race, is in 13th. Car number 15, we're being told, is under investigation. That the car of Klaus Bachler. Probably no surprise there.
Well, sort of. I've got to say, 6 of one and half a dozen the other, that one, rather than being all Bachler's fault. We've got a yellow flag there. That's for that car that stopped earlier on with the damage. But it'll be interesting to see. Here's that second place battle. I was just interested to get back to it because Van Lagen, he's doing a great job, but you've got to say, if you had to bet your life on it, you'd think Sean Edwards would get past him before the end of the race. As René Rast goes across the line, ticks off another lap for quite a quiet afternoon for him. And Edwards... and again, sizing Van Lagen up, but Van Lagen seems to be good on the brakes and doesn't seem to be making too many mistakes. But again, as they come down to the hairpin, Tim looks round to the outside, briefly takes third place, but then drops back into line. Edwards says, no, thank you very much, I'm not allowing you in there, I'll just ease you onto the curbing and the grass on the outside. And Tim's got enough experience to know which battle to fight. And Van Lagen, again, out of here, he is quite slow, and Edwards is much quicker out of this corner. And as they come down to the hairpin, I think not this lap, but possibly when we get a little bit nearer the end, he may have a run out of there. But again, as they come through, again, we're coming to the stronger bit of the lap. And again, a replay here shows how close. A little bit of contact, actually, on the back of Van Lagen, who's probably ruining that mistake from earlier on in the race where he ran a little bit wide. So he's being a bit defensive coming into the hairpin. Edwards gives him a little nudge, a little lock up there as well. And Tim goes round the outside. This is as close as it's going to get. And to drive one of these cars that close at that sort of speed shows what skill these guys have got. As again, a bit of bodywork, I think, on the track. That shouldn't affect anything on the race, really. Probably by next time round somebody will have collected it. But again, Van Lagen doing a great job, to be honest. You know, and you feel with 2 laps to go that he does deserve to keep that second place after taking all the pressure, soaking it all up for the last 15 laps.
Well, he has had to defend and defend and defend, and he's done so, hasn't he? And he's done so fairly. Rast, Van Lagen, Edwards, Tim, the 1, 2, 3, 4, with Christensen in 5th place. Armindo is 6th. With Esther and Frommenweiler 7th and 8th. Looking a little bit further down the order, Earhart in 10th place. But Norbert Siedler up to 11th now, with Klaus Bachler down there in 12th place. Still this battle, as Sean has said, rages between Jaap Van Lagen, Sean Edwards and Nicky Tim. With just a couple of laps left to run in this Porsche Carrera Cup Deutschland race here from the Nürburgring. And I tend to agree with you. I think in many ways that Jaap van Lagen deserves to not lose this perhaps in the final stages of this race, because he's done so very well to defend as hard as he has, but very, very fairly. And both Nicky Tim and Sean Edwards both have had looks at trying to get past, Edwards trying to get past Jaap van Lagen. Tim, of course, trying to get past Edwards in his quest to do so, and none of it has paid off yet. In the meantime, it has played into the hands of this man who is leading, and is leading by a country mile, some 13.1 seconds up the road. He is René Rast at the moment, and that looks like that gap might have increased still further on that lap. I'll bring you the update in just a moment when we see Jaap van Lagen cross the line.
I've got to say, this time Edwards looks closer than he ever has been, and he's very strong into this corner. He's right up behind Van Lagen. Van Lagen has to defend very early. Let's see what Edwards does here. Doesn't decide to go round the outside, or try around the outside, but both of them break quite early, which allowed the team to drop onto the back here. But I think Edwards, I don't know, he doesn't look like he's pushing as hard as he was earlier on, and as they come into this is the section where he's particularly fast out of, on the back of Van Lagen. But you know, I think he might have run out of ideas how to get past.
Well, he's certainly tried everything, hasn't he, over the course of this race, and whatever he's thrown at Jaap van Lagen has been able to defend. We're on the last lap now, and it would, well, it would be a super effort from Sean Edwards. Last lap lunge, perhaps, as he might try a courageous move, but then, you know, at the end of the day, points mean prizes, and he's not going to want to give away his huge lock up there. That looks it's René Rast, isn't it?
Yeah, surprising. It was last lap in, similar to the Formula 3 race earlier on.
Yeah.
But yeah, looking as Rust's done a fantastic job. As we look in the background there, Van Lagen seems to be that length and a half ahead again into the chicane that he's been all race. So he's the car's set up well to defend, really. But as Ross takes the win, fantastic for him. Great race, never under pressure really from the word go. Oh my goodness me, that's Edwards shoveling Van Lagen out of the way, and that's allowed team up to second place. Looks like
who's going to drag? It's going to be Van Lagen.
Well, I'm sure there'll be, as they say, a steward's inquiry into that one. But you know, Edwards dropped from third to fourth there. That won't help him in the championship battle. Van Lagen, really, let's see what they... Oh, another good... Oh, it's a little bit of contact as they come across the line, with some fluid coming from the front of that car as well, which was his Earhart. I should think he needs to stop that quite quickly. So as they come into the final corner here, Van Lagen defends on the inside, I think quite fairly there, to be honest. And also, to be honest with you, what's Edwards doing there? You know, it's the last lap of the last corner. Van Lagen did nothing wrong. He defended on the inside, and Edwards just decided to shovel him out of the way. A little bit like Matt Neal and Jason Plato last weekend at Snetterton. I don't usually see that in Porsches, to be honest. But you know, a great race by René Rast. Fully deserving of that. Didn't really get to see much of him at all, really. His sponsor would be most disappointed. But yes, I should think not quite so clever further back in the field here again. And again, a little bit of contact.
Elliot Earhart there suffering at the hands of Philip Enger, and well, that's a shame, isn't it?
Yes, that's right. I mean, it's a little bit of contact. Again, as I said earlier on, you've got to look after the front end of these cars because the radiation is very exposed. But yes, I'm surprised actually that Edwards chose to do that on the last corner, because you know, that was fairly obvious that if you're in the last lap, whoever's in second place is going to hold that inside line and be extra defensive into the corner. If you're going to try something, try and go to the outside of him rather than just hitting him in the back. But I'm sure well, to be honest, it sorted itself out. Team was the winner there, because Team came back up into second place, having been fourth for the whole race. So patience definitely paid off in his case.
Yes, and forgive me for saying this, it just seemed almost a little bit petulant by Sean, didn't it? Having worked so very hard, and you know,
I would agree with you.
It was a last-ditch effort, and it was a last-ditch effort which was probably never going to pay off. And as you say, actually, both Van Lagen and Sean have lost out because of that, haven't they?
Yes, that's right. That's right. I'm sure they'll have words about that afterwards. But here's the man of the moment. Definitely seems to know how to make one of these cars work round here.
Paul Schlottmann there offering congratulations. The team boss, of course, from the Team Deutsche Post by Limit team. Wow.
So there's Van Lagen.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to
still
see
a podium
what
for him.
expression's going to be like.
Thumbs up from him.
Yeah.
Thumbs up. I would have think he's happy with the podium. I mean, he had a great race. He had more TV coverage than anybody else out there, I
Yes,
think.
He did.
So that's good for him. Team will be happy just to keep out of trouble. Until he sees Norbert Siedler later on, and they ask him how much bumper have you got left on that car. But again, I would say, to be honest with you, Norbert Siedler left a little bit too much space there. And there's Van Lagen, who drove a great race, to be honest. I don't know if that is who's that there. No, I'm not sure who that one is there. But again, great race by Van Lagen and fully deserving a podium. It would have been very unfortunate if he'd been pushed down to fourth in that shenanigans at the last corner.
Yes, it would. It would have been a great shame. So there we see René Rast then, and confirmation of the result then. René Rast taking the win from Nicky Tim then in second place. Jaap Van Lagen takes third from Sean Edwards in fourth. Michael Christensen fifth place. Nicolas Armindo in sixth. Kevin Estre seventh. Philip Frommenweiler then eighth place. Norbert Siedler back up to ninth, and Klaus Bachler in 10th with Philip Enger 11th. Elia Earhart, Herbert Voss, Thomas Pavoda, Peter Skarmak, Hannes Weimer, Bill Barazetti, Christina Nielsen 18th place, Wolf Nathan 19th, Clemens Schmidt 20th. That's the way it looked from that Porsche Carrera Cup Deutschland race. Podium to come, and well, I don't know quite how Sean will be feeling about that really, but as we see some of the images from the race, that man worked so hard, and now we can see why that is the most popular part in the Porsche spares department, as Jaap Van Lagen launches his way over the curbs there.
And going back to Sean Edwards there, yes, he's finished fourth and he has lost points on René Rast, but I wouldn't be surprised if the powers that be at Porsche Motorsport have a little look at that, and I think he might lose a few more points from that as well. I wouldn't be surprised if there's some sort of penalty applied there, because it was a little bit clumsy. Well, at the best, to be honest, clumsy. So it might rue doing that by the end of the day.
So René Rast there, really aggressive over those curves. But as you say, these Porsches, very, very sturdy racing car, they seem to just soak that up, don't they?
Yeah, they just seem to eat up all the energy that comes from hitting those curbs, whereas if you did that with a DTM car, you'd be off on the grass on the outside. These are very compliant and are very used to doing that sort of job. Again, we see that instant there. It's unfortunate. Clumsy is probably being too fair, to be honest. But team said thanks very much. I've been patient for the last 15 laps, so I'll take advantage of that. Thanks very much.
Yes, and that really was it was a gift, wasn't it? So there, Nicky Tim, and again we will await the podium. So Nicky Tim, who going into this was in 6th place in the points. As we see, congratulations being offered. So the Drivers' Championship then. Table now looks like this, with René Rast then still leading, Sean Edwards in second place. Then is Kevin Estre, Norbert Siedler, Jaap Van Lagen, 5th place in the championship, Nicky Tim 6th, Michael Christensen, Philip Frommenweiler, and then it's Michael Ammermuller and Klaus Bachler, 10th place in the A category of the Drivers' Championship. So just looking down the paddock. Oh, we look behind the scenes at the podium. There is René Rast then. Many people tipped him to be in DTM this year.
Well, I think he came very close, I think, didn't he? He was in a shootout, I think, for position, but sort of got overlooked for that one. But has had a great summer, because also he won the Spa 24-hour with Audi as well. So, you know, I'm sure he'll look back on the summer of 2012 with delight.
So the national anthem plays out then for René Rast then, who is on the top step of the podium. Then it's Nicky Tim and Jaap van Lagen as we see the team down there ready to join in the celebrations as René Rast collects his trophy.
I've got to say, I doubt he thought that was going to become third place when he came out the chicane on the last lap, having seen the back of, been in fourth place all race and seen the back of Sean Edwards' car. So yes. I'm sure he looks a little bit surprised to be up there, to be honest.
Yes. And there, Jaap van Lagen. So they all get together for the photo then, and more Porsche Carrera Cup Germany racing to come tomorrow from the Nürburgring. And I suspect it will be every bit as action-packed as today's was too. As the Henkel-Trocken then gets sprayed around. Yeah, Van Lagen ensuring his team gets plenty, and René Rast too. So there we have it then. The Carrera Cup Deutschland podium brings to a close our commentary on that race, and the Drivers' Championship in the B category, just confirming that Bill Barazetti heads that up with Harry Colin in second place. Then it's Wolf Nathan third, Herbert Voss the Boss in fourth with Christina Nielsen fifth, Hannes Weimer in sixth place, and Peter Skarmak in seventh place in the B category of the championship. So as I say, that just about wraps the commentary from us for the Porsche Carrera Cup Deutschland.